All right, and we're ready to get going here. This is Josh on the Zoe Partnerships team, and I'm really happy to have you here with us today for today's merchant webinar with ShipStation. We've got Cody from the ShipStation team here with us today to talk a bit more about this topic. I feel like this is one of sort of the critical topics for all of our merchants because everybody who's selling online, pretty much anyway, has something to ship. And as you sell more, you have to ship more. So it's an important topic because getting good optimal workflows as you grow to ensure you're not going to get overwhelmed by all of that activity, which is a good problem to have, of course, when you have those sales, is critical to the business growth. So we want to make sure that you know about some of these topics and understand what's out there, and ShipStation's certainly a great solution. Before we begin, we want to remind you how you can participate, especially if this is your first time joining us. We use GoToWebinar, and GoToWebinar has a questions feature here in the software. It allows you to submit questions for Q&A just by typing into the window. We will hold all questions for the end of the presentation, so that way we can have a full Q&A session afterwards and ensure that you get to take advantage of all the information that Cody's got for you today. Please submit any questions that you have. Doesn't matter how big or small. We'll go over as many as we can, and if for some reason we run out of time, which we haven't yet, but it could happen, we will send out a Q&A via email with the answers to the questions we couldn't get to. But please definitely submit your questions. We want to help you out and answer anything that's on your mind. We also want to remind you that we have more webinars to come. You can view a complete list of these webinars at the Merchant Webinars page, zoe.com/merchant-webinars. We also include recordings of previous webinars, which we have about a half dozen now, covering a lot of different topics from currency conversion to security, which we did a few weeks ago, including our company president. If you can't make a session, we will always make the recording available for viewing, usually within 24 hours on this page. And then we're now starting to post them as well on our YouTube channel. They're a few weeks behind there, but you will see them available there as well. So if you want to have something embeddable that you can share, we also have that coming now as well. Finally, before we begin, we did want to share one quick note for you. We have launched user forums. This is a great new way to be able to offer some interactivity between us, yourselves, and other merchants. You can request new features. You can chat with other customers about your issues and your successes. You can find an agency partner. You can ask about who might be the best partner for a certain type of capability. And you can also discuss the developer toolkit with those that are in our developer network. That's great for if you're developing an app or a theme, or if looking to get something custom done. The link is available on support.zoe.com, and really quickly I just want to show you exactly where it is. When you go to the page, you will see Zoe Community link now on the top of the page. Clicking that takes you to the master list. There are currently 5 forums that are available. You can follow these, so if you are looking to be notified when new posts go up, the follow alerts will help you with that. You'll see that the featured app requests was carried over from our previous version, so all of the different requests that you guys have been submitting to us over time is still here, and we're still keeping track of them and allowing for people to vote and comment on them just like before. So we're trying to expand the interactivity capabilities with our support team and with each other to really help the community thrive. So we hope you'll check that out, give us your feedback on it, maybe post and let us know on there your feedback, and we'll go from there. So having said all that, it's time to welcome ShipStation. Cody's here to tell you a little bit more about shipping, some best practices you should be thinking about, as well as a little bit about how ShipStation can help you with those best practices. So with that, I am going to pass it over to Cody, and you can take it away.
All right, perfect. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time today, everyone. My name is Cody DeArmond. I head up user acquisition and account management here at ShipStation. So my team has the pleasure of working with merchants that sell online all day, every day, whether that's someone who just had an idea for a new business and maybe they haven't thought through the shipping part of the process, or it's a growing business who's got an influx of orders, a good problem to have, and they need to know how to cut that down from 2-3 hours a day of putting things in boxes and writing out addresses, hopefully cut that down and spend some time doing things they enjoy growing their business. So, like I mentioned, shipping for a new business, you get really excited. You have this idea for a new product or a new business that you want to launch. Then maybe you get to the shipping part of the process and it's a bit of a headache. Maybe it's kind of an afterthought. So that's what we're here to address and hopefully shed some light on today. First part of that, of course, is understanding the carrier rates. What we see typically today is that most successful online merchants are using a combination of carriers, whereas in the past maybe they just sent all of their traffic through USPS or FedEx. Typically now we see a combination, having those options available in a multi-platform solution. It gives you all those options, can let you compare and use what's best for your business in each situation. So first, we're going to walk through the breakdown of the different rates that you can see here with the different carriers. USPS, of course, for most businesses that are getting started, that's what we typically see as most commonplace, trying to ship something out economically. They just want to get it there and keep their margins. So what we see the breakdown here, typically if you just start and you go at it your own, no negotiation power really, and you're just going straight to the post office or maybe going direct to USPS online, you're typically going to see your retail rates. Most people don't really know the difference. They don't think twice. They go to the post office and they pay what they're told. Well, there's actually a lot of opportunity to save a lot of money on this, and as you probably know, new business, every penny counts here. So what we try to do is educate on how we can get better rates and save you some time along with the money that you can obviously see here. So the breakdown here, commercial base pricing is another common rate structure that you'll see. It is definitely cheaper than the retail rates. You're going to see typically a break of a few cents on each shipment. Definitely a better option than just going at it your own at the post office, and typically that comes with an online solution that again will save you the hassle of actually having to physically go there. But what we actually recommend and what you can actually get in a lot of places nowadays, whether that's stamps.com, direct through ShipStation, this is available from day one, it's commercial plus pricing. So previously this was reserved for ultra high volume shippers, right? You had to agree to meet a threshold of 50,000 shipments a year or more. You would have to negotiate that directly with USPS and hope that you would get approved to save some money. So you certainly can still negotiate direct with the carrier as your volume increases, but through solutions like ShipStation, you can actually get this commercial plus pricing from day one. It varies across services and of course across shipments, but what we typically see here is that commercial plus rates are going to save you anywhere from 10, 20 cents up to $1 per shipment cheaper over those retail rates. So what we really stress here is explore your options. Don't just assume that what you're getting at the post office is the best that you can get, whether that's through a solution like ShipStation or otherwise. That commercial plus pricing is now available to you regardless of your volume. Even if you're a brand new business, you can have this in place from day one, start saving money on your shipments, keep those margins as best you can. Now, with non-postal providers like FedEx and UPS, you're going to see a similar breakdown here. So new businesses going at it, just starting a new account online, or maybe even going in again to the store, you're typically going to see retail rates. So these are the list rates that you can probably find just by Googling FedEx rates, and they're just going to be standard list rates. But as I'm sure many of you know, as your business grows, you get a lot more power and a lot more leverage in this situation. So what we encourage you to do is to negotiate with your carrier rep, or directly with the carrier, whoever you're dealing with on that side. As your volume grows, obviously in this space there's a lot of competition amongst the carriers. So they have incentive to work with you to give you a price break based on your volume. Similar to what we just discussed, there are actually options online now, even if you're just starting an account, to get discounted rates from the jump with these carriers. So for instance, with FedEx, you'll notice that they have an alliance program. So for instance, if you were to set up a new FedEx account from within ShipStation, you can get anywhere from 20-30% break off of these retail rates. Whole thing here is that you really just don't want to leave money on the table by assuming that you're getting the best rates available for you. Whether that's your business growing or even just exploring your options as you start, it's really important to note. Now, once you have those rate sets figured out, once you have that squared away, if you have negotiated rates, that's great. That's a great start. But there's one more thing to consider here as well. So around the start of 2016, FedEx and UPS both made a big shift here towards dimensional weight. So most people, when they think of shipping, they're really familiar with, obviously, I need to determine my weight. Maybe I need to weigh out my shipments or automate that, set up my product weights to know how much it's going to cost me. Obviously, if you go down to the post office, they're going to weigh your shipment before it goes out. FedEx and UPS, they're going to factor in two things here. So obviously your weight, then of course they're going to take the dimensions as well. They call it dimensional weight, dimensional rating. So essentially, they're going to take the weight and then the length, width, and height, and they're going to take a look at that and basically charge you the higher of the two. So what you don't want to do in this scenario is just to use that box that you had laying around just because that was what was convenient. Really encourage you to take a look at your packaging, because that can make a big difference on your pricing when it comes to these carriers. So that's another opportunity for you to get a price break just by how you approach your individual shipments, and maybe spending a little bit more time up front getting packaging that's specific to what you need to ship out, but in the long run can save you a lot of money on this front. So now that you've got your rates negotiated with the carrier and you've thought through your packaging and you've done everything on that front up front that you can to get the most out of your rates, the next approach, the next conversation that we typically have with our merchants is, what's your strategy? How are you going to go about pricing at checkout? So typically the big breakdown that we see here and kind of the thought process that merchants are going through is what they want to offer at checkout. Of course, as online shopping becomes more standardized, you'll notice that lots and lots of shoppers, of course, are expecting free shipping when possible. No, it's not always realistic to offer it, but what can help, tools like ShipStation and other online tools, is doing, again, a little bit of homework up front, getting an idea that, hey, yeah, on average, this shipment's going to cost me $4 or $5 to ship out. So maybe on certain orders, over a certain total cost or going to a certain destination, it's worth it for me to just offer free shipping. As I'm sure you're aware, your cart conversion rate goes through the roof with free shipping as well. So you don't necessarily just have to think this is a sunken cost. If you do a little bit of homework up front, oftentimes we see merchants taking that cost and possibly applying it into the actual item costs, or getting creative with different ways of making that actual charge to the end customer, specifically at checkout, as low as possible to help get that order actually all the way through checkout. Now the next approach from there, beyond just free shipping that we typically see, is flat rate charge. So again, one more time, doing your homework up front, getting an idea that, okay, on average, this particular item is going to cost me $6, $7 to ship out, so I'm just going to go ahead and offer, $6 standard shipping. It doesn't necessarily have to be service specific. For example, you're not necessarily guaranteeing USPS priority shipment. You're just saying, hey, standard shipping for this item is going to cost $6, and most merchants are offering a ballpark of when they could expect delivery on that front. Again, the same thing here. We do encourage you, and what most merchants are doing here is calculating that average shipping cost up front. So you don't want to do is to either overcharge and hurt your conversion rate, or undercharge and obviously cost yourself a lot of money as you get an influx of orders. Good news is that tools like ShipStation make it really easy for you to see that breakdown of what the customer is paying versus what you're truly paying the carrier. It'll give you a good idea of the health of your shipping charges here. And finally, probably the most advanced option that you'll see, the most specific to each order, is calculated rates, so live rates at checkout. We mentioned with the flat rate that doesn't necessarily correspond to any particular service. The calculated rates typically do. So you're going to see the option to specifically select USPS priority or FedEx ground or whatever the case may be, and then based on the items ordered, the destination, and the service that's selected, you'll get an actual rate that's returned specifically for that combination. So these typically go through some combination of service on the checkout side. So your selling channel typically has carrier-specific setups for these options. So again, that can be a specific way of nailing down your costs and really getting what the customer is paying you as close as possible to what you are paying the carrier. So again, those are typically the three breakdowns. We encourage free shipping whenever possible, and then you can see the other breakdown of options if free shipping maybe isn't feasible for that particular order or subset of orders. And so now that we've got it nailed down, what you're truly paying the carrier and then what your customer is going to be paying you, we really encourage you to take a step back and look at your process. Especially for growing businesses, this can make a world of difference. We encourage you to evaluate really what's the value of your time. It may seem like it's cheap if you're doing things manually or by hand because you're not having to pay for additional tools, and it seems simple, but then you step back and realize I've hit a tipping point in my business where I have so many orders that I'm personally or I'm paying someone to spend 2-3 hours a day writing out labels or taking care of labels one by one by copying and pasting. So what we typically do in the first conversation that we have with new merchants is to say, okay, you get an individual order, comes in, what do you do now? So most people have an idea of, oh, well, I know that if it's this particular SKU that it's going to ship this particular way, or if it's this particular weight, maybe it's going to ship this particular way. We say that's great. The good news here is that pretty much any criteria that you have in that thought process, nowadays there are tools to automate this entire process. So we encourage you to take a step back. We know that shipping is often an afterthought. You've got a million things going on in your day, and most of them are much more fun than your shipping process, but it really is going to be worthwhile to take a step back and say, okay, where am I spending too much time? What is my thought process? Why am I going through and evaluating individual orders if there's an opportunity to automate the entire process? With that, we see growing businesses do a few things here as well. So one, of course, organizing your workspace. With tools like ShipStation, you can also automate this, so maybe a specific subset of your warehouse is responsible for a certain set of orders, things like that. So you can really drill down the focus to where someone sees exactly what they're responsible for. That's what they're focused on, increase efficiency in this space. Then, of course, we also see as growing businesses move up in order volume, there are also options for fulfillment. So you see fulfillment providers integrated through ShipStation. You may also work with 3PLs on your own. The whole idea here is that if you don't have the bandwidth to set up a warehouse of your own, or maybe the amount of orders you're getting outgrows the amount of space that you have on hand for stocking items, there are other options out there where you can spend time getting orders in and then you pay them to actually get the orders out. So a lot of people go that route as they get more and more orders. And then of course also here we see often that new businesses, they have kind of a jack of all trades in the warehouse. They have their shipping guy or girl, and that's who they trust to run everything, which is great. That can be a valuable part of your team. But as you grow, it may not always be feasible for that one person to run everything. So with tools like ShipStation, you can automate the process, make it very repeatable. So if your volume scales throughout the year, say around the holidays, you get a ton of orders and you know that you're going to need help getting those orders out the door. The whole idea here is that you create a scalable process so that when you do have to plug in new employees or temp workers or whatever the case may be, family members to help, whatever it is, you can say, okay, here's what we're doing. We're clicking print, label goes on the box, and it's out the door. So making this process as straightforward as possible, not necessarily reliant on one worker or a set of workers. Okay, so everything we've discussed so far sounds great, but how? How does this work? So connection between ShipStation is always great because it can do everything that we just described automatically, right? So you really easily integrate Zoe into ShipStation, and the customer checks out. That order is going to show up in ShipStation. Now, we talked a lot up front about doing your homework and evaluating your carrier rates. You can do all of that in ShipStation. So maybe you have USPS along UPS and FedEx, and you don't really know, when it makes sense to use each. You can use that rate calculator to see, okay, in this scenario, USPS is going to be my best option. Let's go ahead and set that up to happen every time without me having to think about it. Again, the whole idea here is creating a scalable, repeatable process. So you're doing the same thing whether you have 10 orders, 100 orders, 1,000 orders, 10,000 orders. So we want that good problem of more orders. We don't want the headaches that come with it, and that's what all of this is set up for. So again, what we really see in the beginning, a lot of younger merchants, younger businesses, they're really not thinking about this up front. So maybe they're just copying and pasting from where they're getting orders over to a carrier, or worst case scenario, going to the post office, whatever the case may be. Again, really encourage you to think about anything in your day, whether it's shipping related or otherwise, that you do repetitively and manually, because nowadays there's really going to be a tool available to take that work off of your plate. Really what we suggest is that you're not evaluating individual orders. You log in, you see all of your orders that are ready to go out, and you hit select all and click print, because you know that the logic that you built in up front automatically assigns what you want every time. So this kind of ties back to thinking about and writing down your process. Getting all of that out and recorded really lets you take a step back and see where you can automate this process. So again, first, really carriers, weights, and dimensions. So whether that's setting up specific product weights and letting tools like ShipStation do the math for you, or whether that's saying, oh yeah, typically I ship my lightest shipments with USPS, but anything that's heavy I ship FedEx. Whatever that criteria you have, we can build that in, and it's available, and it's easy. So again, whole thought process is here. Really, there's no reason nowadays that you should have to grab an individual order and put it on a scale and then write that weight down somewhere and then copy and paste that address and then circle back and copy and paste that tracking number. All of those steps can be automated really easily. Again, you may not think that paying more for another service is going to save you money, but again, we really encourage you to look at the value of your time and your workers' time. You're going to cut out any manual input that you're going to have to take. When you get an order, you know that order comes in, I have already done the work up front, and so everything else handles itself. A big part at the end of the process here, of course, is closing out the cycle of an order coming in and being placed. So you want to notify the selling channel, of course. What I mentioned, copy and pasting that tracking number back in is worst case scenario. ShipStation will post back to Zoe for you, no problem. And then, of course, letting your customer know that the order is on its way. So you've got a great opportunity there to interact with your customer. Actually really see that as a big source of positive customer service as well. So again, this entire process that previously may have been copying and pasting or jumping back and forth between 3, 4, 5 different websites, worst case scenario, getting in your car and going to a physical location, all of this can be automated down to something that you do just by logging into one place. It can take as little as a minute or two each day to get your orders out the door. And I know many of you already take advantage of using Zoe and ShipStation together. We've got a great integration going, but if anyone on the line here has not yet, really encourage you to take a look at all of this. My team will walk you through evaluating that shipment process and seeing where we could save time by automating it for you. ShipStation.com, there's going to be a link at the top to try it free. That'll give you unlimited access to everything that we've described today for 30 days. Won't take a credit card or billing information up front. It'll get you started right away with just some basic contact information, and it'll even walk you through connecting Zoe. So really straightforward, and all of this can be implemented in as little as 5 minutes. As soon as you do that, you'll also get contact information from an account manager. We're all here in Austin, Texas, so you'll have a product expert that's available to help you get this set up. Again, evaluate your process, recommend any automation that may be built in to help you get going, and then it's just going to be priced according to your shipping volume, and the ShipStation trial will actually recommend the plan that best fits you at the end of those 30 days. So again, I know we ran through a lot today, and there is a lot of opportunity to automate this process, but the good news here is that everything that we've discussed can be implemented in even shorter period of time than I've been talking here today. So again, 5, 10, 15 minutes up front could potentially save you an hour out of your day every day. So that's what we really encourage you to take a look at. And ShipStation.com, link at the top to try it free if you guys want to take a look at anything that we've discussed. And just the overhead view here of what ShipStation is set up to do and what we specifically do in our integration with Zoe is that wherever you're selling online, and especially however you're shipping. So don't go back and forth between USPS and FedEx and UPS.com. Get all of that into one place so you can consolidate your day. Automate anything that you find yourself doing manually and repetitively, because chances are you shouldn't have to do that each and every day. Cloud-based software, of course, is going to give you the flexibility to have visibility into your orders as they come in, regardless of where you are. I even see merchants process all of their orders from their iPhone every day. And then once again, scalable process. So starting business, maybe it makes sense to just do them one at a time, but if you get that influx of orders, you get big boost of publicity, business takes off, you want a process that's already built to handle that so you're not scrambling after the fact. So create a scalable process so when the orders come, you're ready.
Great. Well, thank you, Cody, for that. I'm already starting to see some questions come through. So really quickly, we just want to remind you that you can submit questions using the questions feature in GoToWebinar. That'll be our way of knowing what you want to ask, and then we'll be able to talk about it for you. While the questions are coming in, we do have a couple that have already come in, so let's start there. We have a customer who's asking if you could talk about integration with Canada Post for Canadian customers.
Sure, absolutely. So I realize that I've got a little USPS specific during the presentation, but everything works just the same. So within ShipStation, when you start for the first time, you're prompted to connect your selling channels, of course, and then also your carriers. So you simply select the carrier that you're interested in. It walks you through the integration. Really, selling channels, carriers alike, same principle. Basically take some basic account information from whatever you're trying to connect, and then you're good to go. So you're billed by the carrier just as you would be outside of ShipStation. We won't have any impact on that. Your account's set up the way it is, and we pull rates and allow you to do all of this in one place. So yeah, absolutely. In Canada, Canada Post, of course, one of our most popular options, and besides the U.S., Canada is currently our most popular user base as well. So that could be integrated into ShipStation with no technical expertise needed in a minute or two.
So let's broaden the question out a bit more since we do have customers in other parts of the world as well. What countries does ShipStation confidently support at this time?
Sure, absolutely. So constantly growing here, and we do have the widest user base of any solution in our space right now. Obviously, we started in the U.S., started about 6 years ago as an eBay-specific service called Octane, and then quickly grew from there, and now we support more selling channels and more integrations than anywhere else. After that, Canada, our second largest user base, and then we've also expanded to the UK and Australia with many more to come on that front. But for right now, US, Canada, UK, and Australia are all live today.
Perfect. Excellent. Second question, another customer asking, can ShipStation get average shipping rates by shipping method per ship weight?
Sure, great question. So you've got a few different options here. In ShipStation, the rate calculator that I mentioned will allow you to get really specific. So if it's an order that's already in the system, you could pull up the calculator and see all of the options that are available for you there. You can also pull it up and type in hypotheticals. So a lot of people are doing that as they figure their shipping costs up front. Then we also have robust reporting that's built in as well. So up front, you can do your homework with the calculator, but maybe you've been shipping for a week or 30 days and you want to get a breakdown of what you're paying for each type of shipment. All of your shipment data is going to be in one place. It's going to be exportable. You can set up custom exports, and then we'll also have reports built in for you that show you exactly how much you're paying. You can break that down however you see fit. So yes, a lot of different ways to accomplish what you described, but absolutely.
Excellent. Another question we have is, can you give an idea about the investment in ShipStations? Obviously, you mentioned a 30-day trial. How does the pricing work out once you get going?
Sure, great question. So it's just going to be broken down according to your shipment volume. We start as low as $9 a month for up to 50 shipping labels. Up from there, $25 a month for up to 500 shipping labels. There are different price points as volume scales up. And then top ends are enterprise plan, unlimited shipping labels for $145 a month. But you'll have unlimited access during that trial, and then it'll just break it down according to your shipment volume. You can see the full layout of the plans at shipstation.com/pricing.
Perfect. And I just want to remind everybody that pricing includes the ability for ShipStation to pull the orders as well as to send the information back to Zoe once things are shipped. So you don't have to manually update the orders with the shipping label information that is shipped and so forth, which is obviously one of the biggest hassles in a shipping part of the workflow is having to update all that information, send out the emails and all that kind of stuff. You can automate all these things and simplify your life.
Exactly, and one more important part there for US-based shippers as well, that Commercial Plus pricing that we discussed in the beginning there, it's available with USPS. That's actually immediately available within the account as well. So we go through Stamps.com for our USPS service. Normally, if you went to Stamps.com, you would pay $16 a month just to have the option, but you get that free within ShipStation. Again, that 10 to 20 cents up to $1 per shipment cheaper is available from day one within ShipStation. So any of those pricing points are going to pay for themselves rather quickly if you're shipping USPS at all.
Fantastic. Next question that we had was if you're a U.S. merchant and you're shipping worldwide, you have the ability to do that with ShipStation, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So we're especially useful for international shipments because we can help automate the customs forms generation. We can automatically sign your documents. You can also set up ShipStation to automatically pull product information to fill out the customs declarations. So yeah, I would say if you're shipping internationally, I especially encourage you to check it out because the time savings can be even higher there.
Fantastic. Although you mentioned the main countries that you're focusing on, we did have a question about whether you have any sort of an integration for Jamaica at this time.
Correct, and that's important to note that that's shipping from, so we definitely can ship to Jamaica. Just at this time, we don't yet support shipments that are originating out of Jamaica, but we're constantly expanding that. We launched 2 countries in the last year with many more to follow.
Got it. So the customer actually clarified as you were talking. So a USA company can ship to Jamaica. We don't have anything where a Jamaican company can ship elsewhere at this point.
Correct, you got it. So US-based merchant could ship worldwide. The main limitation there would truly be where you're shipping from.
Perfect. This is a question I've actually had my support team talking with your team about, so I'll probably take the lead on this one. Right now, only custom field 1 is mapped for delivery. Can custom field 2 be mapped for dispatch date? We have had a few customers who requested that second custom field mapping. We usually have to do it specifically with the ShipStation team, and they kind of have to do it as part of their development cycle, so it does take a bit of time, but it can be done. What we recommend in those situations is to open a support ticket with us on the support site, and then we'll reach out to ShipStation to help with that mapping. So hopefully that answers that question there. We'll give it a minute or two more in case any last-minute questions come through. But while we're waiting for the questions, I'll just quickly remind people that, and I'll just reactivate my screen now. We want your feedback about these webinars and understand what you'd like to learn more about as well. You can email me at josh@zoe.com and let me know what you're looking for. We're going to get more scheduled here soon. We have more to come, though, obviously, and they're listed on our Merchant Webinars page along with recordings of the previous webinars. The slide's a little out of date now. We actually have 5 recordings that are available, including, and this one will be up within 24 hours. Next week's webinar is an important one for all of our merchants. We're going to be talking about some upcoming changes to the Visual Design Editor as we prepare to release version 3. We're revamping the CMS to make editing content easier than ever without having to actually touch your design. Access control, so you can give different members of your team different levels of access to the design editor. More than 50 new blocks becoming available, which is going to give you more choice and variety to your designs. Lots of really cool stuff coming very soon, and obviously that is going to affect the day-to-day for merchants that rely on this heavily. So please join us a week from today at 1 p.m. Eastern for that presentation. We know that's going to be an important one. So we did have one more question come in. Asking about whether you guys have any content like a webinar for learning the cost reports and learning how to work with those.
Sure, great question. So we do. We have several resources that are available online. ShipStation.com/videos has video tutorials on all the functionality that we described here today. We also do webinars similar to this one, also feature specific in ShipStation. ShipStation.com/webinars will show the breakdown on everything that we have upcoming. And then also, if you are a new ShipStation customer or an existing ShipStation customer for that matter, the question mark at top right in your account is going to give you access to our knowledge base. We've got a library of resources that are available there, and then also access to live support as well. So we're all here in Austin, Texas. We've got an office full of product experts. We'd be happy to walk you through that as well.
Excellent. Another question that came in from one of our attendees. Does ShipStation factor in residential addresses, business addresses, insurance, special packaging with this pricing? And is it possible to factor in a handling charge into the pricing?
Sure, great question. So yeah, we do. We actually will automatically determine and verify that address to let you know whether it's residential or commercial. You can also run automation off of that. So for example, if all of your commercial address orders need to be shipped a certain way or need to apply certain insurance and things like that, you can accommodate that. Insurance, absolutely. So you can use your standard carrier insurance just as you do direct through the carrier within ShipStation, or you also have the option for ShipSurance. It's a third-party discounted shipping insurance service as well. So those will both be available within ShipStation. At this time, we don't add handling costs. We are typically used as a tool, in the warehouse in the seller's facility. So we don't typically expose those and build those out. And I have seen people their carrier accounts set up to essentially display list rates where they're actually being invoiced, negotiated rates, and use that difference in their operation. But ShipStation specifically, since we're not charging the end customer, we're giving you the rate that's basically paid by you to the carrier. Currently, we'll pull rates direct via API from your connected carrier accounts, and you'll get an accurate rate there.
So for that one, if you're looking to add a handling charge, it may be something you want to apply on the Zoe side as opposed to the ShipStation side.
Yep, agree. That's typically how I see it accomplished.
Cool. Well, at this point, it doesn't look like we have any other questions, although it does seem like we got a lot of good feedback from the questions room about the presentation. So, Cody, thank you so much for your time today and for joining us and our merchants to talk about ShipStation and shipping. And to our merchants, we want to thank you for joining us. We hope to see you back here next week for our Visual Design Editor presentation, and keep an eye out for some upcoming webinars. We're getting some new ones scheduled. We had scheduled through the end of April, and that's quickly approaching, so we're going to start working on May, June, and beyond. But we really love bringing this information to you and look forward to helping you further. So until next time, on behalf of the partnerships team and Cody at ShipStation, thank you so much. Have a great day.